Good Mom and Monday. You're here at the Mistaken Mama podcast. I'm Kaylee.
And I'm Mandee.
And we are your hosts. This week, we're going to kick off Women's History Month with an episode all about women's history. Let's move this really quick so that it doesn't continue to buzz everywhere.
Fair.
There we go. But first, our wins or fails in our books. So I'll go first. One win is that it's about the podcast. I have finally started to get more caught up on the editing.
Yes.
I'm a couple weeks ahead, and I got super organized with like an Excel spreadsheet and everything. I got fancy with it, and I'm now a couple weeks ahead, and I'm planning on getting further ahead. I'd like to be back to where I was when I did it the first time and stay there, where I am on track with, like, once we record an episode, I can go home and edit it within the next couple of days and have it posted and scheduled and ready to go, and then I don't got to worry about it again until the next week, and then I'm 4 weeks ahead.
That sounds just so nice. I am not ahead in any way, shape, or form.
I've had to have a lot of discipline to get myself to where I am.
Yeah. It's hard because I can't use the computer that I need to edit on all the time.
Oh.
So
I can see how that would be frustrating.
Makes it challenging. But yeah. Win for myself. Well, you got set up with the podcast stuff. I got set up with my budgeting book again.
Yay.
I did this, it's been a while now. Like 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, because it was before Maverick. So yeah, I think 4 years ago. I was like super into budgeting. Like we would do the envelope thing and everything. And I just got all that back reorganized, printed out all the things that I needed, got my binder organized, and we are going to get money savvy again. Woo! We've let ourselves be so lax, and it's hurting the pockets.
I can feel that.
So we're gonna get back to it, and I feel good about it.
Good. Yeah. I like that win.
Yeah.
That's a good win right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fail?
Why don't we skip the fails for Women's History Month?
Okay.
We
are not failures today.
We're not failures today. This entire month we're not. We're winners for this entire time.
I like it.
We're also going to skip books because we are filming this the same day that we filmed the tattoo and piercing episode.
So we're still reading the same things.
So we're reading the exact same things. Yeah. You want to know what we're reading? Go back and watch that episode.
Yeah.
At least the first couple minutes of it. So.
And I don't think I have any favorite women's books.
I don't think so either.
Self-help books?
I don't think I've ever read one.
I have a couple that I've, like...
I mean, I've read birth books. Does that count?
There you go.
Sure.
Okay. I can't even think of the ones that I've read. Apparently they didn't have that much of an impact.
I've read birth books. I mean, I guess it's about as, like, woman-related as you can get. Yeah. Can't get more womanly than birth, I guess.
True that.
Sure. Birth books.
There we go.
I have, like...
Okay, books are out of the way.
I have some of those. I've read a few. Sure.
That works. Okay, women's history.
Women's history.
Do I know a lot about it? Absolutely not. Am I hoping you take the reins on this one? Absolutely.
I did try to Google because, like, coming into this is the second episode that we're recording today.
Yeah.
And so I came into this being like, oh, let's, we can talk about, like, key points in women's history and our thoughts and opinions on it. The only problem with that, though, is that, like, women's history is so flooded with misogyny, and even still today. But the problem with that is today there's a lot of controversy there. That's
yes,
questionable to get into at best.
Yes.
I mean, I would say that we already did an episode on feminism, specifically that we believe that modern feminism, as it's seen today, specifically in social media and stuff, is not very good for the modern woman.
Yeah.
And that we believe that feminism as like a movement that it started as was beautiful and it was very great. We now have equal rights as women.
Right.
Realistically. And that it's gone too far beyond that. Mm-hmm. And it's turned into something way worse. And so if you want more information and our opinions on that specifically, go watch that episode.
Yeah.
But it's a little controversial. Just saying.
I think for me personally, I just don't remember dates and names and major events. I was never good in history, like class. Mm-hmm. I'm just not, like, I found things interesting, and I think history is really interesting, but my memory of it is just like, it's not good.
I mean, the first Women's Rights Convention was held July 19th and 20th, 1848, and included 300 attendees in New York City. That was a long time ago.
That sounds like a lot of women in one room.
All the women synced up from that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy, that sounds like a rough...
Realistically, probably not. But
probably not.
We just jumped right into this, and now we're like, well, fuck.
I don't even know what to say. Oh, God. Quincy Babe.
An introduction to Women's History Month. Okay, let's... What do we got? Really? The origins of Women's History Month date back to only 1978. Why do I feel like it's been around longer than that?
Weird.
My mom's older than Women's History Month. I mean, I guess it hasn't really been that long where we're like dedicating months and days and whatever to certain things.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently it started in Santa Rosa, California. Mm-hmm. With the Education Task Force of Sonoma County Commission. On the status of women. Interesting. One of the things that I thought would be kind of interesting to talk about is, so like a lot of people have been discussing the potential draft for World War III. You haven't seen any of that on social media?
I have not seen any of this.
Oh.
I've been pretty like off social media lately.
Well, with all the bullshit happening in the Middle East with Israel, Palestine, is it Ukraine and Russia?
I think so.
And then there's like some Iraqi stuff going on. I think that has to do more with the Israel-Palestine thing with Hamas, and there's like Houthi and whatever, like Biden's bombing people are dying. It's
all that
stuff
stuff gets really rocky for me, so yeah. I just,
not to mention there's now tensions down at the border.
Michael was mentioning something about that.
Yeah I guess they're
gonna like tear down the wall or something.
So Texas has, like, because we have the border right at the Mexico border.
Yeah.
Texas had razor wire on their part of the border. I don't know how far the razor wire went. I don't know if it was like a specific spot or just like everywhere. Mm-hmm. Biden, or his administration, I guess, not specifically him, went in and took all that down. Texas, I guess, and this is all very summarized, basically said, fuck you, we're putting that stuff back. Biden says, don't you dare, or else. And Texas goes, or else what? And so now there's a lot of tensions there.
That sounds like Texas.
Sounds a lot like Texas. And so now there's an issue there. And I guess, like, I keep seeing, like, I think 10 states sent troops to back Texas. Oh. Like, sent them to Texas to back them at the border. And then, like, I guess 25 states are supporting Texas in this whole endeavor. I don't know the logistics of that. Okay. And I could be wrong with those numbers. It could be only 10 or it could be 25 both ways. I don't know. That's just what I've seen. Mm-hmm. And, news sources tend to change information.
Right.
So I don't I don't fully know the details of that, but so yeah, there's issues at the border, there's issues in the Middle East, and so some people have been talking about how if things don't like chill the fuck out, we're either going to be in a civil war or we're going to be in like World War III.
Well, damn.
Right?
I mean,
That's
I've kind of heard like everybody, I feel like the last 4 years has said World War III is going to happen.
Yeah. So I
don't know like what to.
I mean, it seems to be a little bit more like a possibility now with a lot of the stuff going on in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Especially with like after the 3 soldiers like died in the bomb or whatever a couple days ago. Oh,
I have no idea.
Yeah, it was like Tower 22 in Jerusalem or near Jerusalem or whatever got bombed by, I think, Iraqi militia or something like that. And then Biden was like, we're not going to stand down to this. And I don't know what his plan is or if he's done anything or whatever since then.
Right.
But a lot of people are like, what's World War III that we're about to face?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like just both sides are kind of going back and forth.
Yeah. And then with like bombing the Houthi ships and stuff. Anyways, the point of this, that's what I'm getting at a point, okay? Anyways, with the draft, somebody had brought up how they're not really sure how a draft would work because in previous times, it was during an era when women really didn't work, right? And so they were like at home. And so when a bunch of these men, because it technically went up into age like 41 or 42 because the draft would happen like in different stages. The first stage was like up until 25, so the 18 to 25-year-olds. Which is now all Gen Z. So good luck with that. And then the 26 to like 35 or whatever. And then it goes like 35 to like 40 or something like that. It's like the 3 different stages. I could be wrong about those ages.
It's roughly around there.
Roughly around there. And it depends on how many soldiers they need and stuff. And I don't know if that's going to be affected by AI and other machines. And I don't know how that's going to work. But anyways. So in previous wars, when the draft has had to happen, the men would obviously get pulled out of their jobs to go to war, and then women who were not working would essentially come in and fill these spaces. And somebody posed the question of like, well, how is that going to work when over half of our women already work?
True.
And those that aren't usually aren't for a reason.
Yeah.
Like, I don't work outside of the home because daycare is ridiculously expensive, and there is no way that I could ever hold a job that would cover the cost of daycare.
Right.
That's just not possible.
Yeah.
At least not in my current state of
living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My lack of trade. But I think we determined in a previous episode that it would cost a few $1,000s just for us to send our kids to daycare per month. And that, you know, with what our wages look like nowadays, it's unlikely that either of us would really be able to get a wage that would work. I mean, you more likely because you have the nursing degree.
Right.
Me, I don't.
Yeah. Fair.
But like, who would be filling in all of these spots? And I thought that was kind of an interesting question to pose, you know, because a lot of women's history has to do with us gaining the same rights as men. And now that we have those same rights, like, because women are still not allowed to be drafted into war. That's still not a thing.
Okay.
If you go onto the Selective Service website or whatever, it is still only men 18 to 25.
Yeah. And I know when a guy turns 18, you have to like fill out something and like turn it in to them. I remember when Michael got that, he's like, I don't want to do this.
Yep. But I mean, now that we have all of those same rights and stuff, but we're still not allowed to be drafted. Why I went back really far. Hold on. You said that he got something in the mail. Never mind.
Yeah.
Go ahead and start there. I don't know why I went back so far.
Michael got a thing in the mail like when you turn 18, and I think all men get it, where you have to like, I don't know exactly what you do. You fill out like this paper saying that yes, I'll go into war if I get drafted. Yeah, basically.
I think it's kind of funny that you even have to register and that it's not just like automatically done when you turn 18. Yeah, because it's like it's required by law to do it. So why even send something to give someone an opportunity to not do it?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I think it was like if there was a, like, because I think if you have certain things, like certain illnesses or certain disabilities, like they're not going to take you.
But you're still required to register.
Right.
Even if.
But I think then if you're registered and you have these ailments, they're not going to pull you.
Well, yeah.
Kind of a thing, I think. So I don't know.
Yeah, that pretty much is exactly how it works.
Yeah.
So like you're required by law to register regardless if you're a male when you turn 18.
Yeah.
Period. Point blank, end of story. It is against the law. It's a felony to not. However, if they decide to call you, which is essentially like a raffle, like I believe in olden times.
Yeah.
Olden times. They would literally have your number in like one of those little like bingo machines and then whatever, then they'd pull it out and be like, all right.
Yeah, because in old movies, like you see them like on the screen and they're calling out numbers and the guys are in the bar like waiting to hear if their number gets called.
Yeah, pretty much. But it's essentially a raffle is what it is. And then when you get your
prize is war.
Yep.
Oh, God.
Well, they'll call you, they'll do the evaluations or whatever. And then if you get disqualified, you get disqualified.
Yeah.
Which I guess in a draft, the disqualifications are significantly different than what the disqualifications are if you are voluntarily joining.
Oh, interesting.
So like if you voluntarily join the army, you could get disqualified for really small things.
Oh.
Whereas if you get drafted, a lot of that gets waived.
Weird. I feel like it should be the same.
I think it's because when it's voluntary, they have the luxury of being more picky.
Oh.
Whereas a draft,
you go where they want you to go.
You're going to die. You have a 30% chance if you get drafted of death. Is what I believe a statistic said.
That's crazy.
And then I think in addition to that, it's like an additional 30 or 40% chance. Or maybe I'm getting these numbers wrong. I swear it was something. I don't know. I'll link something below that had the statistics because I might be spewing these wrong off the top of my head.
And I just don't know.
Maybe it was like a 10% chance of death and then like a 30% chance of like permanent injury or something like that. But it was like a relatively...
How can they figure out those statistics?
By looking at past drafts, looking at like, okay, all the people who were drafted, what were the statistics of it?
But I just feel like it depends on like where you are stationed.
True.
You know, because like everybody gets drafted, but not everybody goes to like the front of the line. Not everybody goes to, you know, just like command centers or whatever. So I wonder.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Interesting.
I don't know. But there isn't going to be the same pool of people to replace men in those positions.
Yeah.
You know, especially with the fact that women as of right now cannot be drafted.
Yeah. I also feel like it'd be different now because I feel like back then when we were having world wars, wow, I couldn't say that. It was more like combat, like going in guns blazing kind of a thing.
Whereas like nowadays,
AI and it's like drones and like
stuff.
bombs and tanks and like I feel like I could totally be way off, but I feel like there's not as much need. We're holding the line, you know, and then we're holding this line and then we're charging each other and like you know, I don't think there's that anymore. Maybe I'm wrong.
I'm not sure, honestly, because like when I think about what does war even look like today?
Right. It kind of seems like it's drones dropping bombs and like I mean, I know that I don't know actually, but I would assume that there's still, you know, soldiers coming in and like ripping people out of their homes and like stuff like that. You know, we've been seeing a lot of the, what were you saying? What was it called?
Israel-Palestine?
Yeah, thing? All that stuff where like people are being like ripped from their homes and like raped and stuff. And like, I still obviously believe that that's happening, but
that seems to be more in like the less modern areas.
Yeah.
Like that seems to be very what's going on in the Middle East.
Right.
And that seems to be kind of the only place that's really happening.
I guess I don't watch the news at all.
And we are probably very ignorant to all of this.
Oh yeah.
And we are very well aware of that.
Yeah. I just don't really hear, I guess, and the most knowledge I have about war is mostly movies. Yeah. And so that can be very skewed.
Oh, 100%.
But like watching,
like I'm thinking Saving Private Ryan, 300 with
Sparta. Right. Watching old like movies like that, I just, I feel like that's not what's happening today. I feel like it's different.
I feel like
So I don't
you're
know.
right.
I guess what my
So who knows
point
if we're even
is
gonna need a draft, right?
Will there be a draft? Like, is that necessary? Or is it just like, yes, we need people, but we need people who know like technology.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. And
So maybe like people in jobs where that's what they're doing, like software and stuff like that.
So it ends up being a lot less random and a lot more selective.
Yeah. Like a specific group of people that they need versus like, we need 18 to 25-year-olds. You know, because you don't need like a healthy body abled person to go fly a drone. I mean that's
a really interesting take.
But
yeah,
that's kind of where my head's at least from the very minute things that I've heard.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting because, like, you know, like I was saying, women are still not allowed to be drafted, and we have all of the same rights, and we all work the same jobs and stuff. Obviously, a lot more like opinion based. If you want to work within a specific frame, you can. If you don't, you don't. Whatever. Yeah. But so it'd be interesting if in a time of war, who is getting drafted and why,
or if
at all.
Yeah.
Because like in women's history, a lot of that has to do with us being equal. But like, I mean, shit, I don't want to be drafted.
Right.
I mean, I think I would be disqualified because of the kids.
Yeah.
Because I still have a nursing child, but she's over the age of 1, so
they could be like, she'll live.
Yeah. So I don't know how that works.
Right.
Like, I think some people have expressed they are offended that women are not allowed to be drafted, but I'm like, I don't want to go to war.
Right.
But then there's all the different like memes and stuff.
And that's the thing with like fighting for your rights to be equal. Like if you want to be equal, that's equal.
It's equal.
You both go.
Yep.
Man or woman. Short or fat.
Yeah, I think historically the main reason why women were not drafted was, I mean, it goes all down to biology, is that men can make a baby in 20 seconds. Women, it's 9 months. And so, you know, that's why we're not going off to combat, because we are more valuable in the sense of population than a man is.
Right. And we're just built different.
Oh, yeah. You draft me, I'm choosing prison. I've got firsthand knowledge, I guess, or secondhand knowledge, I guess, that I would be fine. I can go crochet. I'll go crochet some hats. I'll make some necklaces. I'll be fine.
And I've always wondered, like, I haven't always wondered, but I'm wondering right now, if women were to be drafted, like, some women are very small and dainty, like, and how, like, certain people are just not, even, like, there's some men that are small and dainty. I guess they wouldn't want to be called dainty, maybe,
probably wouldn't.
Maybe small and meek.
I don't know.
Just like,
I think no matter what, they wouldn't want to be called anything.
I don't think they want to be called anything. They wouldn't even want to be called small.
They wouldn't want to be called, period.
Slender. True. True. Slender.
Oh, God.
Slender and sleek.
Sure.
Sleek and slender.
Oh, all the offended men out there, I can hear it.
I don't know. But you know what I'm talking about. Small individuals.
Yeah.
That probably couldn't even make it through like a basic training thing. But if it's the draft, do they even train you up, or they're just like, here you go?
I don't know.
Because a draft, like we have been saying, would be vastly different from what it looked like back then to what it looks like today.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Regardless if women or men or both go in. So I just wonder, like, would you want a small little dainty girl on the front lines?
Yes. See, I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
Not to say that women couldn't do it.
And I think that's where the whole women's rights movements comes in. It's because it's like, well, why are you assuming I couldn't?
Right. Exactly. And like, I mean,
I'll gladly stay home.
Right.
I'm not going.
I think there are definitely women who could and would and all those things. But if we're talking like physiologically, I'm, my husband's going to be able to do a lot more damage than myself physically.
Yeah.
Maybe I could hit him with, some emotional trauma.
I was just going to say, I was like,
like,
if there is a Gen Z draft, they're all going to be crying emotional damage. Women's history, I think, has been all about just the up and coming woman, really. And I think that, and I mean, we're in a age of feminism. We've talked about this before. And so I obviously don't want to, jump right into that all over again.
Right.
But it's kind of one of those things that's like, you can't really talk about women's history without talking about all the different things. Like, we never used to have the right to vote. We never had the right to work. We never had the right to wear pants at one point in time. We have all that now.
Right. And then some.
And then some. I would honestly say that women are actually privileged in a sense. We get out of doing certain things.
Yeah.
The draft.
The draft, maybe.
Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah.
Obviously we do have our shortcomings and things where we definitely do not have the upper hand.
Yeah.
Walking alone at night, going to bars, all of those things, we are very heavily targeted. And honestly, I don't think there is a single movement in the entire world that will ever end that.
Yeah, because I think that goes down to biology of just how women are and how men are. Yeah.
I don't think we'll ever, there's not a flag you can wave or a law that you can pass that is going to make it to where women and men are 100% equal, or the equity. We've talked about equity before. Yeah. There is never going to be perfect equity between the two. We have equality as in equal opportunities and rights. But we will never have perfect equity. Right. And even with like the equal rights and stuff, there's always going to be some differences because inherently men and women are entitled to different things. Right. Like the whole Roe v. Wade thing. Or I guess now the lack thereof. Right. Men don't need Roe v. Wade. Right. And so, that is now a law that no longer exists, which was needed for women, but was not needed for men. Right. And so it's like, even in a perfect world, there's going to be laws that protect women that are unneeded for men and vice versa. Which is the way that it is. Men can get out of being a parent so much easier than women can get out of being a parent. Right. It's not that simple. It never will be. And there's literally no way to feasibly be able to ever do that. And that goes down to biology, like you said.
Yeah, because I think people forget that, yes, we are very complex mammals, but we are still mammals. Yeah. And if you look at every other mammal, like you see so much similarities in like how women are treated, how men are treated, how we value the women, how we value the men. Like it's usually, like we've said before, the nurture and the protector. And I just don't, like you said, I don't think that's going to change. That's literally that's our beings. That's what we are. Yeah. And it's for a reason.
And there's no way to get out of that. There is no way to get around that. We are not a species that both genders are identical. That just isn't a thing. It's not ever going to be a thing. It just is the way it is. Yeah. And so with those differences are going to come different laws, different rights, different whatevers that are needed with one gender and not the other. Yeah. And there's nothing you can do about that. Right. And so I think that as we stand, we're relatively equal. Yeah. I would say. Yeah. Some people might disagree because of the lack of Roe v. Wade and the fact that states are taking that on for themselves. But I mean, the way that the United States works in and of itself is a whole other issue of how states' laws can vary state by state. Like we have like a governing union, but then states can individually be like, well, I don't want to do that, or I do want to do that, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, so we are all mini countries. Seems to be more accurate. Yeah.
The fact we just fall under an umbrella.
Yeah. Yeah. And which causes its own problems.
Yeah, I almost wish the umbrella wasn't there.
Yeah.
Because it causes a lot of issues.
It really does, because there's not a whole lot of separation between each of the states as far as like, because you can easily move from state to state. And by easily, I mean like as long as you can afford it.
Right. You can do it.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
It really is.
If you're living here in America,
You can move to whatever state you want as
yeah.
long as you have the funds to do so.
Right.
And you can find a job
Yeah.
and housing. But I mean,
Right.
that's really no different than moving from town to town.
Right.
You know, and honestly, moving from one town to another might actually be harder than moving from one state to another.
Yeah.
Like, it would be ridiculously easy to move from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho to Spokane, Washington, but not as much to go from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho to Boise. That would be a lot harder.
Yeah.
Even though it's within the same state
Right.
because of distance. Like,
Yeah.
so the fact that it's within the same state doesn't make a difference.
Right.
But yet the laws between states are
Yeah.
so wildly different.
Yeah.
So different.
Yeah.
And then it affects women and men very differently.
Definitely.
Being in America is weird.
Yeah.
If you're listening and you're not in America, in America, I'm
Specifically the United States.
yes, I guess I should specify that.
We both
'cause
said America, but
yes.
specifically the United States of America.
I know a lot of people outside of the United States will be like, why do they call themselves America?
Yeah.
It's like, because the United States is a lot.
Yeah.
Say.
Yeah.
The USA.
Yeah.
That's still a lot.
Yeah.
It's either US or America
Yeah.
when I say it.
Yeah.
I don't like to say the United States. That
The
just sounds
United
like a lot.
States of
It's just-
America.
we're America. It's
Yeah.
fine. I get that we're not, though.
Yes. Yes.
I'm aware. Canada
Yeah.
is also technically America. I
Right.
get it. I get
Right.
it. I do.
Yeah.
So is Mexico.
Yeah.
Mexico, US, and Canada. It's all
Yep.
North America. And then there's South America.
Yep. Anyway, sorry, I just thought I'd throw that out there that we're talking about the United States specifically.
Yes, specifically.
Yeah.
But like, so if you're not in this country, you know, you probably don't realize how drastically different each of the states are and how some states are very women friendly, some states are very men friendly. And that goes like in a whole bunch of different areas of like, you know, which states are, you know, more, you know, the abortion rights or women's rights for in divorce, in custody cases. Because there are
Right.
some states that, even though they're not advertised as being this way, are very mom friendly or very dad friendly or, you know, whatever. There are certain states that, like, if you're getting a divorce and you're wanting custody of your kid and you're a man, good fucking luck.
Right.
Other states, it's a lot more even.
Right.
You know, it just kind of is what it is. And so it's interesting that, like, the rights that you have do vary state by state. But
Yeah.
as a whole, we're pretty on par
Yeah.
with men. But
Yeah.
it doesn't always feel that way. And I think that's why the women's rights movement is still going on. But I think as long as we are living in the United States and have the umbrella that we do have and the way that our laws work where they can vary by state, I think that the women's rights movements is always going to be needed.
Yeah, I don't think it'll ever end.
No,
Yeah.
not unless the structure.
Changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's not like you're going to be able to lobby every single state to work how you want it to work.
Right.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. But I think that's the beauty of it. You know, if we were
beauty of
all
choice.
the same, if we were all, like, everywhere you went was exactly the same, like, that would be pretty boring. I understand there's certain things that, yes, should change and should be, like, standard for everyone,
Yeah.
but not everything, you know?
It's hard. It is. Because I think as a whole, you know, women's rights have been obtained. You know, we have what we were fighting for, and we no longer really need to continue with like the super aggressive way that we were going about it. But then in the same breath, it's like, but not everywhere.
Yeah.
And I think that's why like the Women's History Month can be important, because it kind of shows us how far we've come, and maybe some other things that need to change.
Yeah. I think a lot of, like, getting the women out of the house and working, while I've mentioned before in our previous feminism thing, I agree women should be able to work if they want to work. But I think that because of this massive push, it's also taken away from the, like, home life.
Yeah.
And we've all become so reliant on, like, grocery stores, the government, like, because we're not self-sufficient anymore.
No,
You
we're
know,
not.
and I think there is a push right now to be more self-sufficient. And I think that's great because you know, if there was to be a blackout or something, you can't just run to the grocery store when you need eggs. You can't go down to the market when you need, you know, bread and vegetables. You know, you can't just go easily get meat. You have to go find your meat. And it's like, I think we've just gotten so far into just pushing everything out of the house, women out of the house, men out of the house, kids go somewhere else for now. Like, and then when you come back home, you realize, oh wow, I'm reliant on
everywhere else.
Yeah. And I can't be sufficient at home anymore and without those things, you know? And I think a big part of that was pushing women out of the house into the workforce. Because typically the woman was the one who like made the house self-sufficient, tending to the garden, making the bread, going out to feed the cows, the chickens, the whatever, you know, not everybody had a farm, but most everybody had a garden.
Doing homeschooling,
making clothes. You know, a lot of women don't know how to sew clothes. I very, very basically know how to, but I'm not good at it. Yeah. You know, and then like there was fixing things around the house that, you know, maybe you would ask your husband to help you with, but a lot of women were self-sufficient in that too. They would figure it out, or they would know the person to call to do those things. And now it's just, I mean, yes, we still have, you can call a plumber anytime you want, but what happens if those things go away?
Yeah. And I think that's where like movements like that, trying to find equality has its give and its take, you know, and nobody wants to admit to the disadvantages of perfect equality. Is that, you know, in addition to, well, yes, women now can vote, women now can go to work. It's like, but now the disadvantage to that is we are now heavily reliant on things outside of the home. And, you know, we're a very industrialized nation now. And like you said, we're no longer self-sufficient, because when the woman left the household and it was like, okay, well, now we're your dual income. And so they were like, well, now we can charge more because people can now afford it. Right. And now for single income families,
it's a lot harder.
It's a lot harder because we are based in a dual income society, even though a lot of people are not dual income. Yeah. And they're like, oh, just get a roommate. You're That's 35.
Easy, yeah.
And you still need a roommate because you never got married.
And what if you don't have an extra room for a roommate, you know? Yeah. Yeah, it's just, I definitely agree with a lot of the rights that we've gotten as women.
Oh, yeah.
Totally,
like,
100%.
I like that we can vote. I don't plan on, you know, wanting that stripped away from me.
I like that we can go out and get jobs and stuff. I just think that also comes with its negatives, you know?
And granted, I think a lot of that has to do with government and society taking advantage.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I don't think the right thing to do was to be like, oh, well, you work now, so now I can raise prices because you can afford it. It's like, no, I wanted to go to work so that we could afford more.
Right. Yeah.
Not make it to where single income families can now afford less.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I don't think that was ever the intention. But because we are a capitalist society, that just goes, that speaks for itself right there.
Yeah.
Not saying that capitalism in and of itself is bad. Right. Because like the core values of capitalism is very beautiful. Anybody has the ability to prosper. Right. But the way that it has taken root in America, in the United States specifically, but in a lot of other places too that have it, I think Canada also has this problem. So America. Right. It's become all about greed and getting to the top and squashing those beneath you. Right. Instead of everybody has the opportunity, everybody has the same advantages, because I don't think capitalism as it stands right now is equal. I think that there is a lot, like people, I know that we have monopoly laws, but they don't always stand. And people get away with it. Yeah. Granted, I think in some cases the laws can kind of help with that, but it's not a perfect system. Right. And so I think that we are moving in certain directions too quickly and other directions too slowly. Yeah. You know, I think we need to fix certain things before we can move forward with other things. And I think that having these months where we are talking about different things can be important.
Right.
Because then we can see, okay, well, where are we still lacking? What can we do to try to fix these different things? And we can kind of be working as a society together to be like, oh, hey, this still hasn't gotten fixed yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think, too, there's a lot of focus in today's world on, like, entertainment over, like the valuable jobs that we actually need to survive and be sufficient. You know, if all this artists, like singing artists, what are they called? Singers?
I mean, yeah.
Is that the word I'm looking for?
Musicians?
It just didn't sound right. Musicians, maybe. Or like football players or baseball players. Like if they all went away, we would still work as a society.
We'd still function, but they get paid
but they
very
get paid
heavily.
like massive amounts. It blows my mind that people we watch for entertainment get paid like millions and millions and millions of dollars. Where like your local doctor who takes care of your children in your town
is paycheck to paycheck.
Or, you know, maybe they're getting a decent wage, but nowhere near what Taylor Swift is getting, you know?
No hate to Taylor Swift.
No hate to Taylor Swift.
But she's done great.
It's just like, it's baffling to me. And I know we wouldn't be anywhere without the arts and stuff. Like, I'm not saying that should go away. I'm just saying, like, I feel like our focus is so skewed. Where those people, like, do you really need to pay them millions and millions and millions of dollars?
Yeah. And then
it seems very unbalanced there.
Yeah. And during COVID, when we saw who was classified as essential workers and all of them were paycheck to paycheck people.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, there are certain doctors, surgeons, whatever, who do make fucking bank.
Right. Yeah.
But I feel like those are the outliers. Whereas like...
And they're like the specialists. Like I specialized in, you know, neuroscience for children or, you know, like they're specialized. And while I think that they deserve it all, what they're getting, you know, and probably more. It just seems so weird to me.
Yeah, but then other essential workers, like, I mean, honestly, the fact that fast food was considered essential is funny to me in the first place.
Right.
But, you know, them or USPS workers that get paid like $14 an hour.
Yeah.
And you have to be an adult for a job like that. That's not a first job. That's not a teenager job, and yet they're only getting paid just barely above minimum wage.
Right.
Those people are doing paycheck to paycheck and probably have a second job, and yet they're considered essential.
Right. Hell, nurses. They're the ones
nurses.
taking care of these sick people, risking their lives to take care of these sick people, and they make less than like a quarterback who runs a ball. Like, I don't know. It seems so wrong to me.
It does.
That seems so wrong. That seems so backwards.
So I think that in general, as a society, but then also as women, we do still have a long way to go. But I think that it's less about women specifically have a long way to go, and just us as a society have a very long way to go still to become a better functioning society.
Yeah.
And more truly equal where we should be.
Right.
Equality, not equity. And equal value, I guess, is what it should be.
Yeah.
You know, and putting, you know, if something is going to be of higher value, it should have a higher paycheck.
Yeah. It's weird to me.
Because, like, for example, if my husband's work were to shut down, everybody's crying.
Right.
Everybody is crying.
Yeah.
He makes toilet paper and paper towels. You shut him down? Okay.
Right.
Good luck with that.
Right. It makes no sense to me.
Because during COVID, remember all toilet paper shortage?
Yeah.
They're still recovering.
Yeah.
That was years ago now.
You take away doctors.
Take away doctors, nurses, you name it.
Good luck.
Yeah, but yet
especially
we
now.
Pay them shitty.
Yeah, I don't get it. I
really
don't get it.
Insurance companies, they make bank.
Yeah.
By not paying shit.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
It's crazy to me.
Yeah. So that was kind of women's history. I mean, I think it was more so just like, yeah.
Politics.
But I mean,
we got really politic heavy.
we did. But at the same time, though, it's kind of just is the way that it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so in this episode's a little bit of a shorter one. I'm hungry for lunch, so we're gonna
wrap it up.
Yeah. Plus, I think we kind of covered all of the major things. Like, there are things that, like, you know, inventions that were done specifically, like, by women. There's, you know, different advancements in technology and stuff of, you know, by women, for women, and, like, all of that. And, like, that's great.
But I think we can both agree that this is not that podcast.
That's not what this is
That's
about.
not us. We're not gonna rattle off a bunch of dates and, you know, a bunch of...
I tried that at the beginning of the episode, and I'm sure people were snoring.
Yeah, we tried. That's just not us.
It's not.
We're here to give you our opinions and, like, what we think about where it's going.
Yep. So, hopefully you stuck around for this episode. If you didn't, you're not here to hear what I'm saying right now anyway, so I guess if you are around, like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you guys soon. We are coming up on the end of the season.
Getting closer.
We're getting closer, and we are going to kind of have a restructure, so... if you stuck around and you're hearing this, great. If not, you'll get a surprise.
You won't know any about this.
You won't know. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We'll have a better episode for you next week.
And we'll see you then.
See you then.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.